Just before we get into your journey into not just solar, but Dan EV Solar and your YouTube channel, just for those watching, do you want to just talk a little bit about who you are, where have you come from?
Yeah. So born and bred in the northeast of England. Dad worked as a joiner growing up. My mum worked as a teacher of special needs students. So I kind of grew up always with a love of technology, I guess, a bit of a passion for all things new. I think we lived in a great era, kind of my generation, because we saw it from, I guess, the early days of where there was zero technology almost, right through to the likes of, spent many an hour playing on my Amiga with my younger brother when I was growing up. First iPhones, first PlayStations, that kind of thing, games consoles. So there was a lot of change in those short space of years, particularly when I was a child growing up as well. So to be able to see all that, I think was fantastic. So that kind of sparked a passion in me with the technology side of things. Always had quite a creative side almost, but tended to go down the academic route of studying. So, the STEM subject, I guess, and went to university and studied accounting and IT. Did very well in the IT side, did very badly in the accounting side. So pivoted back on that and went to do business computing at university. As part of that course, what I did was a placement year in industry for an engineering company in the northeast as well, and then got invited back once I'd finished university and been there ever since, working in various IT roles.
Excellent. So at this point in the journey, what was your day-to-day job looking like?
Yeah, nothing to do with renewables. So it's in the chemistry industry. So we license a lot of chemical technologies to clients around the world. Nothing
to do with renewables.
About as far away from renewables as you could be, I think.
What got you then from there? Obviously, I guess your interest in technology would have been a driver. But what got you from where you were into looking at renewables?
I think early on it was probably seeing the Tesla journey. I think that was a big pull for me. So I remember watching the Top Gear episode and thinking, this looks like the future. This could be what it's like. And they were quite harsh on on that car in the end, but followed that journey outside of that, and like the cars that we're coming up with in 2016ish, I think I test drove one of the Model S's just through a hire company. Absolutely loved it. It was like nothing I'd ever driven before. I guess alongside that, just seeing the development in solar. So I had family friends that had solar installed, and just that following their journey and thinking this just you look at the industry, this makes sense. The burning things doesn't make sense. Having solar, heat pumps, renewables, that's the future. That's the way we need to go for the planet, and like I say, financially as well. It just seemed to make sense.
It takes quite a big leap, though, doesn't it? I think for a lot of consider, especially the way we are in the UK, it's still not normalized. It's still not standardized. But so, what did you find in that when you first started? Kind of, you say your interest was pricked through the likes of the Tesla coming to the market and friends and family having the technology. What was it that was your kind of trigger point to start taking this seriously and looking at it yourself?
It was probably when the energy crisis hit in 2022, I think. Obviously, the energy prices went absolutely crazy. A lot of people really, really struggling with the bills. So it was that more masculine instinct kicked in, I think, from a family point of view. What can we do to save money here? So I started doing quite a lot of research on things we can do to, reduce the boiler flow temperature down to make it run more like a heat pump. We always had it kind of 70, 80 degrees and didn't think any more of it. As it turns out, that was really inefficient way to, so, we were kind of filling the bath with really hot water and then cooling it down with cold water, which just seemed crazy when you think about it, but you never give it two thoughts until it was costing you 3-4 times as much on your energy bill. So, that was the kind of trigger.
That was just going to the boiler and turning the temperature down.
Turning the temperature down, yeah. That saved us a lot in the gas usage side of things, but then also I think understanding what we're using with electricity, like I say, it never really occurred to me before how much or how little energy we were using. Never really given it two thoughts, just paid the monthly direct debit. So
and that's quite a common place, isn't it? You kind of actually knowing what your energy spend is and how it's segmented and broken. It's simpler for people. They just get a single monthly fee that they pay. But so you started looking into when you were using energy and how much you were using it.
Yeah, almost all sides of things. So we went round and plugged all the insulation. I got a heat gun from a colleague of mine and went round and looked at where there was gaps in the insulation. So I filled all those in the house just to ensure the house was efficient as it could be.
Did you find a lot?
There was a few bits, yeah. The house is 5 years old, so it's a modern builder. So it was
really. Any obvious ones? Because these are like a little infrared gun that you can hire them. I think Octopus at one point were, maybe they still are, kind of letting people rent them. Any obvious ones, letterboxes or anything like that you found were kind of...
The biggest one for us was we had a shower installed in the loft, and they pulled the insulation back when we moved in there to do some fixes on that, and then they never rolled the insulation back. So there's, I look up at the roof and there's this big square where there's just no insulation whatsoever. So yeah, tidied that up, and we have one of the bedrooms above the garage as well. That was always really cold, and when we looked, there was no finishing around the edges of the brickwork, so all the drafts were going up into that bedroom. So it made, even just doing that, just checking that out, and it made a really big difference.
And do you see it? So at that point, you're kind of looking at your usage. So we've recently launched our platform, so people can go on, they can connect their home to the platform, and they can start to see what their half-hourly energy usage is. Mm-hmm. Did you have anything like that available to you? So when you made these improvements, you could see those instant impacts?
Yeah, so I had a smart meter installed from a previous energy supplier. So that was giving me some data, and I'd kept hold of those bills before the energy crisis, so I could revert back to those. And yeah, I went around various things, as I say, reduced the boiler temperature, reduced the thermostat temperature by a couple of degrees. So we had a winter where it was a little bit chilly, a little bit chilly in the house.
Great way to find out though, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think the usage, we used about 15,000 kilowatt hours of gas.
Wow.
And that dropped to about 8,000 after these changes.
Really?
So it was kind of a visible difference, with almost half the bills.
And this was turning the temperature down slightly on the boiler.
Yeah.
Filling in some of the gaps around the home. And I think this is an interest, like filling in those gaps. Did you do that yourself, or did you?
Yeah.
I just think, that significant drop from those changes that don't require, I'm going to say, a huge amount of effort. Mm-hmm. Was there a cost to that?
Minimal, very minimal. Yeah. So, we went a little bit further. We installed Google Nest thermostats as well, which they reckon they can save 10 to 12% on your usage. It seemed about fair to what we'd found as well.
What change did that make? So the Google Nest is a smart thermostat, and it understands a little bit more about your home.
Yeah, so there's two different modes, I guess. You could use it as a program mode where you just set the times where you want it to come on and switch off, or it'll do the self-learning side of things. But we found with the self-learning side, it was just coming on and switching off kind of a little bit randomly almost. So we just set it on a schedule, but being able to switch it off if we weren't in the house, or if we knew we were going to be out for a long period of time, I think it's just those incremental changes made.
Did you find were you setting it back, or were you physically turning the heating off completely, letting it drop down to kind of
setting it back most of the time? Yeah.
It was a big show. It was something we've talked about a few times on this show, where a lot of people, when they leave the house, they physically turn it off, mm-hmm. and actually just dropping it back to 16 degrees, and it just keeps the temperature in. But it sounds bonkers. Mm-hmm. Actually leaving it on is more
for longer. But it's I know there's been different arguments about that either side, doesn't it? And it seems to always provoke a lot of discussion. But it depended on the situation. So a lot of the time we were out at work all day, so we would have it on in the morning, switch it off during the day, and then switch it back on the night when we needed it. But what we were finding was you were going in a house and you'd switch the boiler on, it'd be absolutely roasting for 20 minutes, click it off. But by reducing that temperature, it ran more like a heat pump would, in that it's just that's low and slow. low and slow temperatures that keep it a steady temperature.
But it's great those relatively small incremental changes, not huge cost. I mean, a Nest smart thermostat, 150, 180 quid or something.
£150, yeah.
And you're away, assuming you've got it doesn't even have to be the most modern boiler, but a boiler that you can interact with. So you've got this kind of granular view of your energy usage. You're making these changes, and I guess you're able to see them. I mean, it's certainly one of the things we promote within the platform is that essentially the data doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to see your energy usage on the Monday, and then you turn the boiler temperature down and you still feel comfortable in your home on the Tuesday, you should be able to go onto the platform and actually see a significant reduction in your usage.
Yeah.
These are the things that, and you say you install a smart thermostat, you should be able to see the results without having to spend thousands of pounds of making these adjustments. And the plugging the building fabrics part, was that kind of quite labour intensive, or was that something you were?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind getting my hands dirty and getting stuck in, but yeah, I was climbing around the loft in the insulation, and yeah, filler foam in gaps. Obviously, you've got to be a little bit careful you don't bring in condensation into the house as well. But those gaps that should have been filled, went round and filled those. So
you've got now you're in this
position
where you've kind of made the most of those things that you can do, and then you start looking at the next thing on the journey.
Yeah.
And what was that? What was jumped out to you?
Yeah. So I'd like the idea of solar for a long time, being able to generate your own power from your house and not relying on the grid quite as much. Again, that brought with it a level of technology, which a bit of a technology geek as well. So yeah, that was the next stage, was really digging into, with the prices the way they are now, does this start to pay back? Does this look like a good option? And ran some sums, did a lot of research again, and that seemed to be a good time to take the plunge. So yeah, started with, because of our relatively low usage, the installers that we went with recommended a smaller system, but I wanted to future-proof it a little bit with the anticipation of getting an EV, getting a heat pump afterwards. So that just gave me a bit extra flexibility to be able to. So I went for a bigger battery, a bigger install, almost as many as I could fit. So
do you hear that this thing is, because there is we've been doing some solar designs recently, and the kind of the metric that some of the solar tools kind of push out is you input in your electrical energy usage, and it kind of says, this is the battery you need based on that usage, and this is the amount of panels you need. But then, as you start on that journey, you go for an EV in the future or electrified heating of some kind, then your usage profile changes dramatically.
Yeah.
But there does seem to be a thing of saying, if the scaffolding's up, actually the cost of the panels is not that much. It's having the people on site and having the scaffolding up that's the challenging part, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like if everybody's there, let's get as many panels on the roof as we
can. Fill the roof with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's always an interesting one. So I don't ever hear anybody say, I've got too many panels. Yeah. So you would be an advocate of get as many on as you can.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, and the energy market's changing on a daily basis almost at the moment. So there's tariffs now that exist that didn't exist when I got my solar installed, and having those extra panels and the extra battery has enabled me to almost reduce the payback of the system. It's not all about payback necessarily, but that was one of the factors for me. So being able to use that energy and the panels that we had to reduce that payback was great.
And so from that first point when you start thinking of the idea, where did you go next? What was your kind of, did you think to yourself, I'm going to research this, or was it straight up just go and find installers?
No, it was a lot of research. So I always like to at least have some idea what I'm talking about if I'm speaking to suppliers. So a lot of research myself, and then reaching out to both suppliers locally and national suppliers. And I got three different quotes. I would always recommend at least 3 different quotes if you're looking to get solar installed yourself. Look at the pros and cons. For me, it was about whether their estimates match my research. So go through the process of them. You'll get a gut feel for the installers as well. And yeah, from there, went on and selected the one that ended up selecting a local supplier to me. They really friendly, really good reviews on review sites, that kind of thing. So
what was the name? You can feel free
UCS Renewables.
UCS
so the
Renewables.
Middlesbrough-based company. They've been going for about 10 years, installing both commercial and residential solar.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, really good.
And in terms of the specification of the equipment, did you have much say in that, or?
To a degree. So I'd said that I wanted either the Tesla Powerwall and Give Energy batteries based on the research that I'd done. Those two seemed to be the market leading product at the time. So they spec'd the batteries based on what I'd said. Less so on the panels. I think it was more because it was when everyone was struggling to get supplies of everything in the world. It was more just the panels that they had in stock at the time, but they were all pretty comparable anyway.
Much
from
the
panel
same.
side,
Yeah. So what was it you ended up with in the end in terms of the kit?
So I ended up with the Give Energy 9.5 kilowatt hour battery, 5 kilowatt hybrid inverter, and a 6.32 kilowatt peak solar install. So I think they were Jinko panels. I ended up with 395.
And how many panels in total would that be?
16.
16.
Yeah. So again, tried to map the use, our personal usage once I had that understanding of what we were using. Tried to map the panels almost to that usage. So we have 6 panels on the east facing roof. So that gets the morning sun when we're in on a morning. And then the 10 panels on the west facing roof to see us through the night.
That's interesting because you see a lot of people when they talk about solar and it's, I can't have it because I haven't got a south facing roof. But that east-west setup means that you're getting the morning sun and you're getting the evening sun.
Yeah.
So maybe you miss out on the peak in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But you're getting in terms of the generation. If you just had a solar roof, just had a south facing roof, would it be much different?
I think the winter's the key. That's the winter generation on a south facing roof is a lot better. So what you tend to see in the summer is west almost generates better than south in some ways because it gives you a longer solar day. So you start earlier in the morning with the east generation and then finish later on at night with the west generation. So
okay.
in particular for some tariffs as well, offer now time periods between 4 and 7 p.m. at peak hour times where they'll pay you extra to export your energy back. So the west facing panels come in particularly handy for that sort of thing as well. But yeah, it tends to be the winter generation is when a south facing roof will still perform reasonably well on a sunny day, whereas mine will generate not very much at all.
It's interesting because a lot of people they do tend to kind of think if you haven't got a south facing roof, you're automatically disqualified from solar. So so yours is split over, and you'll get X amount of generation on one side in the morning, and then a little bit more in the afternoon. And so when you've got the 3 quotes, you've got the specification. Painful part. What was the cost?
So it costs just under 11,000 for my system. And again, I'd spec the battery. I didn't necessarily need to put a battery in there, but again, because of the usage being in morning and night, I thought the battery made sense because then we could capture that power during the day and then use it on a night time as well. So yeah, big expense. I took out a loan for the cost to install it when interest rates were much lower than what they are now.
What rate did you get? Do you mind me asking?
I think it was about 2%. I think I
Really?
paid for the loan. Yeah. So.
And that, because that's a leap of faith, I guess. At this moment, you've got estimates. You've done your own research. You've got estimates on the system performance and essentially what the payback's going to look like. But whether you're somebody who's in a fortunate position to take that money out of their savings and invest in it, or probably take on a slightly increased risk of taking on a loan. How have you found because you've obviously got the repayments against the loan, against the savings that you're making against the installation? Do you feel like they marry up? Yeah.
So I've tried to calculate the return on the investment as well. So I talk about this a lot in my videos on YouTube, and it's better than anything you're getting in a bank at the moment.
Really?
Yeah. In terms of the energy bill savings, and then also what I earn from exporting back to the grid at the right times as well. So yeah, for me, very happy with it. A lot of people will argue, you could put that in the bank and it would earn interest, and just put it in the S&P or whichever fund and it would do better. But for me, I think it's not just the financial aspect. You've got, you're doing your bit for the environment. You're almost your own power plant, essentially. You're generating your own electricity that you can use. You're not 100% reliant on the grid.
And was there any thought process around, and this is something we've come across a few times on the show, is there anything that was in your mind around the fact that you're taking out that loan, you're putting the panels on the roof, there'll be a payback period expectation, I don't know, 5-7 years, maybe something like that. And then somebody else moves into the house, if you move on, do you, and I guess the battery you could probably take with you, but the solar on the panels on the roof probably a bit more difficult. Do you find, was this a kind of commitment to this is your long-term home and therefore you're...
Yeah. So I'd love to do it in our old house, but we weren't 100% convinced we were staying there. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is our forever home that we will stay in. I think if we did move for whatever reason, I think you've also potentially, some debate on this, but potentially added to the value of the house as well. So that those next people coming in, they have that there to use, and it's a selling point for the house, I think.
I think so. We've been working on a project with Perenna Bank, who they're bringing out the first kind of, they refer to it as the true green mortgage, where you can actually you can take out additional lending if you wanted to have the technology installed. But if you demonstrate that you've reduced your energy consumption by 20% by having this technology installed, they'll drop the rate across your mortgage for the whole lifetime. Okay. But one of the key factors around that is this data sharing capabilities. So if somebody is moving into a home and they look at the affordability, if you say, well, currently I spend X amount per month on my energy, and you maybe upsize it, then your energy spend is going to change dramatically. And the inability at the moment to get a true reflection of what that energy spend will be in their new home. It's one of the things we've been working on, is whether we, from a parental perspective, could they say to the prospective seller to share their smart meter data. And then we run it through a model we've developed where you change the kind of occupancy profile and you change the how they use the home in terms of energy usage, and then apply that to how the home's performing to give a more realistic view of what it'll look like once the person moves in. Because especially with energy prices as they are now, that new person coming in. But I think that goes to that point around, if you are investing in solar, then you may make these homes more affordable to people to live in next.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you see, you're there. You're seeing this as your forever home. So
hopefully,
no plans to sell.
No.
So you've made that decision. You've got the loan. You've chosen the installer you want to go with. Mm-hmm. What was the installation process like? How long did you have to wait from making that decision to it starting?
So at the time, we'd initially inquired about this in April 2022, and because of the parts, there was a long delay on getting, I think it was the panels and the inverter that were the issue at the time. So
this is kind of around post-COVID time then, I guess. So this was just kind of general trade, I guess, getting materials into the UK. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so it was December before they could fit me in to install the equipment. That was quite a long way from when we initially inquired about it. And I think
not a great time of year to be installing on the roof.
Missed out on the summer generation, and had to contend with the rain and winter weather when they did get it installed. But thankfully, generally the install went fine. Obviously, some teething issues, but nothing really major.
And what was the kind of process? I'm guessing panels on the roof first. So kind of scaffolding turn up one day, installers turn up the next, or how did it?
So the electricians came. I think it was more just when they had resources available from their side. So the electricians came. It was, I think, the first couple of days were rainy weather. So electricians did what they could in the garage with the battery and the inverter, got all that ready. And then the roofers came and finished off, put the panels on, did the rails, all that sort of stuff, and then connected it all together. So I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 days it took.
So you had the internals done first, then the panels on the roof.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the things a few concerns raised from people considering this around that kind of the scaffolding going up, but relatively pain-free, or?
Yeah, generally. Apart from being woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning with noisy scaffolding.
Peering at your window.
But yeah, generally, so because it was east and west, we needed to almost get 2 sets of scaffolding. So
of course,
it took a little bit longer. There was a bit more cost associated with that, but yeah,
with the scaffolding side of things, you don't have to go through planning or anything to have that put up. It's just the availability of the scaffolders to come through.
Yeah.
So how long did you have to have the scaffolding up for in the end?
I think it's about 2 weeks. It stayed up in the end. So they came and did it a couple of days before the install started, and then came down a couple of days afterwards. So
I always think it's an interesting time, especially in when you've got the scaffolding up and people going up onto your roof. It's not exactly somewhere people venture very often. Did they find any issues with your roof, anything that you had to have repaired, or anything that they would say you'd probably get this done whilst we're up here?
No, I think we were quite lucky with it being a relatively new house. It was all pretty straightforward, standard build, standard tiles. So thankfully we were fine. I know, I'm sure, hear of other people having horror stories with installers and that kind of thing, but we were certainly quite lucky in that all just went quite swimmingly. So
that's what you want. So scaffolding up, panels on the roof, battery and everything installed. Anything around like having to connect to the grid?
That was probably the hardest bit. So there was a delay. I think the DNO can take about 7 weeks, I think it is, to respond on the connection. So that also delayed the install, not only just the supplies. There was that delay waiting for them to approve that we could export back to the grid.
And the DNO, safely. these are the district network operators, the people who they sit behind the scenes a little bit, don't they? They they're the people who are responsible for making sure the power gets to your house, and if anything you generate flows back. So why did you have to get approval from them to?
It was because I was exporting more than 3.68 kilowatts.
Yeah. So this is the size of your inverter going back into the grid.
Yeah. So I had a 5 kilowatt because it was 6.32 kilowatt peak install. So it was potential for generating a lot more than that back. So just to ensure the grid infrastructure around my local area can handle that.
And that's the installer's responsibility in a way. They kind of make that application, or is it something you have to do?
We could do it either way. I was quite happy for them to do it. They were the experts on it. They'd obviously done it loads of times before, so I was more than happy for them to handle that.
And that you need the kind of specification of the system in order to put that paperwork in. I've seen some stuff more recently now. They're making it a little bit easier. There's a kind of an online platform now where it's standardized across all the network operators. But essentially, you need to tell them what battery you're putting in, what inverter you're putting in. So you kind of need to get that specification. Then it goes into there to get the approval. Yeah. But there is a lower limit. But I think this is probably half the challenge, is that lower limit of 3.6 kilowatts. So if your inverter that changes your consumption power, generated power into usable power, if you get that to the point where it's below 3.6, then you can connect it and notify them afterwards. But as you say, future-proofing your home and getting everything done, you really want to be going over that. So they're probably inundated with applications, I guess. Yeah. But was it a relatively straightforward? Yes, you're good to go ahead, or did they have to come and do anything in your home to make it suitable?
Again, I was wary of these stories you hear where people have to pay thousands of pounds to get the grid infrastructure upgraded, but thankfully came back okay, no cost, and approved straight away. So
no cost at all. So no, that's good. That's good. So you didn't. Yeah, we've heard people having different types of supply arrangements to their home that mean they have to come in and do all kinds of stuff, but no, straightforward. Yeah. And then, so okay, everything's connected up. Did you had to get the DNO approval then before the installation? Yeah. Okay. Probably, which as you say, probably fed into the delays a little bit, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so now you're connected, you're generating, it's going into the grid. Do you have any visibility of what you're generating? And because you've historically, you mentioned you had this kind of half-hourly view of your energy usage. Once you then go to having this connected, you've got a kind of a new energy profile, I guess. Yeah. You've got solar being generated, how much is being used, how much is being exported.
Yeah, so again, multiple apps on my iPhone with that track this kind of thing. I know it's not for everyone, but I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to stuff like that. So the Give Energy app is brilliant at tracking what my solar's generating, what it's exporting back to the grid. You can then kind of cross-check that against what Octopus are seeing as well at their side. And then there's other third-party apps. I use one called Octoade, which is uses the tariff that you're on at a particular time. You can program that. It'll measure your export from your smart meter as well, and gives a lot of nice, pretty graphs as to how much you generate and how much you're exporting, how much you're making from exporting that back to the grid. Tracks your gas usage as well, so it's all in one place. Really, really, really good app.
Yeah,
and I think that's just created by some enthusiast, a bit like us, that's they kind of got the bug for it and decided that there was a gap in the market for that.
It's great when there's people like that come along, isn't it? Though that's ideal. So so you're now in a position where you can actually start to see what you're generating when you're exporting it, and it's interesting. Different people have different views on it, so I just wanted to get your intake on it. The right now, if any electricity that you export to the grid, you get paid, is it 15 pence?
Yeah, it depends on the tariff, but the tariff I'm on, Intelligent Octopus Go, they pay me 15 pence per kilowatt hour.
Intelligent Octopus Go, yeah. And so if you were to buy a unit of electricity off the grid, how much would that cost you?
It depends on the time of day you buy it, but what I try and do is I'll buy it overnight at I think currently 7 pence per kilowatt hour. So I'll fill my battery up full and fill my electric vehicle, and then basically the battery's full, so anything that the solar generates throughout the day is exported back to the grid at 15 pence per kilowatt hour.
So you become an energy supplier in your own right.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that I'm sure for most people that haven't yet started maybe navigating into this world, but are starting to think about it, the concept of buying electricity, even if you go beyond the fact that you just pay a direct debit, if you're buying electricity off the grid on a standard variable tariff, a standard fixed tariff, sorry, then you're paying the same amount regardless of whether you buy it in the middle of the night, whether you buy it in the middle of the day, whether you buy it in the morning or the afternoon. You pay a set fee. But the minute you get this technology installed, it opens up these other tariffs that are available to you. So in your circumstances there right now, with the battery that you've installed, it makes complete financial sense for you to export literally everything you generate to the grid. You're getting paid 15 pence for everything you export, and you're buying back at 7. And I guess then there's periods in the day where it would be more expensive to buy that electricity. What kind of rate would you pay if you were buying it?
So if it was during the day, I think it's around 27, 28 pence per kilowatt hour. So, 4 times more what.
And you just avoid that?
I just try and avoid it as much as I can. Yeah, there's obviously peaks where you might have the kettle and the oven on at the same time, and there's not a lot you can do about it, where it'll dip and pull a little bit of usage, but you're talking kind of pence rather than the pounds that you would have been paying on that standard rate throughout the day. So.
It's impressive though when you can get to that stage, because they say because you've got such a big battery, and it is, I think it is battery dependent in that we know with the Give Energy kit you can charge off the grid. It's this AC charging capability, so it means you can program it to say during these times fill up, and it also goes the other way, doesn't it? We're doing an integration from our optimization system at the moment with Give, where if there's times of day where the grid actually is under pressure, we can send a signal to the battery to tell it to discharge onto the grid, and during those periods you'd actually be paid significantly more than the 15 pence because it's a reaction to grid pressure. But these are all like new and emerging energy trading markets. But I think fundamentally, when you take it down to its absolute basics, you've gone from a position where not only were you paying an energy supplier to provide you with electricity, that energy supplier was then buying electricity off the wholesale electricity markets, which is fundamentally linked in a lot of cases to the gas prices. Gas is used then to produce electricity. So you've kind of completely changed the dynamic, and now you're generating and selling back to the grid and getting paid for that service. Yeah,
it's a real mindset shift from traditionally just drawing electricity from the grid when you need it. It's almost you become part of the solution almost to providing this energy. So we're seeing it in Australia now, where they've almost got too much rooftop solar. They get a lot better weather than us, unfortunately. But I think they've taken some of the benefits away from everyone having rooftop solar, because it's almost generating too much back to the grid. But essentially you've got a solution there where it's not just the energy suppliers providing that electricity, it's everyone, and everyone's kind of benefiting from that in terms of reduced bills. So
I think that's the point, isn't it? When you get to that balance, right now, it's the carrot, isn't it? It's encouraging people to do it. And I guess outside of the fact that they've got far better weather than us, I guess with that level of generation, they've ended up in a position where they're kind of the energy bills are a bit more stabilized, because essentially they're in control of what they're generating and not reliant on external suppliers providing us with the energy. So I guess it's an emerging market. What you're getting now, when you made those decisions, you can't bank on it, I suppose. No.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit and the downfall in some ways, is you're almost in predicting how long this is going to take to pay back, predicting the future, and in a market that's changing on a daily basis. So there's tariffs now that when I first started didn't even exist. There's things like Give Energy are doing, and other suppliers are doing, things like your guys are doing as well, that didn't exist at the time. So you're almost predicting what's going to happen. But I think, as long as you're, the way I see it, you can be part of the solution as well. With if you get solar installed, then you can almost shape the way the future is and what's available to in terms of options and what we're exporting back to the grid and that kind of thing.
It's going to be. You see, you're in the mix. I think that's the most important part. And once you start on this journey, and there's different ways to come in. Obviously, there's a huge amount of homes that have the opportunity for solar. There's still a lot of challenges and a lot of people that wouldn't even necessarily have the opportunity to go and take out a loan to afford the equipment. But we're doing a project at the moment. It's in an apartment complex, so the customer couldn't have solar, but they've had the Give Energy battery. They've had so they can't benefit from solar generation, but they can benefit from charging the battery during the off-peak periods. They're having a hot water, a sun amp thermal battery for their hot water system, and then they're having smart electric radiators fitted, replacing the old storage heaters, like infrared heaters, and that's all connected to the Heatio platform. So we're able to kind of monitor it and shift that energy around. But they're benefiting from off-peak charging periods at 7 pence, and then they've got the 9.5 kilowatt Give Energy battery going in as well. So they benefit from charging that up. They're charging the hot water system up during those off-peak periods and charging the storage heaters, essentially, and then distributing it through the day. And previously to that, they had no storage capacity. They did have economy 10 and economy 7 periods, but they weren't really able to make too much benefit from it other than direct electric into the hot water cylinder and direct electric into the storage heaters. But there's no real control, no real smarts to it, no energy shifting capabilities or anything like that. So even for people without solar that living in apartment blocks, the opportunities are starting to become available. So where did you go next then? So you've got your solar, you've got the battery. What was your next step?
Yeah, I guess it was, I kind of assessed what the research I had done and looked, thinking this is a lot that I've learned over the past 12 months from having the system. How do other people find out this stuff? Do people know about this stuff, or is it just something that's, there was a few people on YouTube talking about it at the time, but not many. There was a lot of misinformation in the market around. So it was, okay, right, I've got this data here. How can I use this to help others take this step into renewables where they're just starting out and they have absolutely no idea at all? So yeah, I kind of combined that creative side. I had the research piece that I like to do, and the technology side, and thought let's give YouTube a go and see how it goes. And I expected to have 50 videos and 10 views, and be kind of not getting anywhere, banging my head against a wall. But when I started putting these videos out, it really, it's obviously a hot topic at the moment, and a lot of people are interested in it. So tried to keep it simple, break it down per video per tariff, or just a video on a particular topic in general, and yeah, it went really, really well. The first 2 months, 1,000 subscribers and continuing to grow. So yeah, and it's it's opened up a whole world of different doors as well. I never expected to be on a podcast 18 months down the line. So So yeah, it's been really good, and meeting a lot of people in the industry. I think it's just so much happening in the industry. It's a really exciting time at the minute.
But it's the story you tell. That's I think we can sit here and play our part in the industry and talk about the things that we're doing as a business, trying to make these changes, but actually having people like yourself who are going out there independently, because not only the financial investment in doing it, you researched it and you made it was the right decision for you and for your family, but the time that you've then invested in sharing this story, this isn't if you were as we are, this is, good for us as a business. This is about kind of sharing the message and getting things out there. But there's a commercial driver behind that, understandably. Yeah. Whereas for you, you've kind of done this. You've done this for the greater good, sharing the information with people. But what made you start doing that? What one day you kind of sat there and said, "I'm going to." Because you started after the installation.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think you get to a point in life where you want more of a purpose almost. So it was about helping people. Having kids changed that a lot. So it makes you think about the future and the future that you're leaving for them. Just trying to, it teaches them as well. It teaches them about this renewable technology, type of things we can do. So just wanting to make a difference in the world, and hopefully, if I can encourage one or two people to get renewables installed, then I'm happy.
That's great. Honestly, I think it's amazing. And for those watching, obviously, it's Danny V Solar. Is that what they type in onto YouTube?
Yeah, if you just go on YouTube, Danny V Solar, I should come up with my bright green thumbnail.
That's it.
Difficult to miss.
And have anything else since then? Have you added anything else? Did you mention you've got electric vehicles now?
Yeah, so probably a year or 18 months after I got solar installed, I ventured into electric vehicle as well, and absolutely fantastic. Yeah. It's just like, it's...
What did you go for in the end?
I went for a Model 3 Performance, Tesla Model 3 Performance, and it's just, quiet, fast, cheap to run. It's kind of...
Are you charging you get the charge off the solar then as well?
So again, I can do, but it makes more sense economically for me to do it overnight on the 7.5 pence rate. So yeah, just charge it up overnight, and then...
Must make a hell of a difference.
It's about £4, I think, to charge it empty to full. So... Yeah.
My God.
When I was comparing, I was spending about £160, £180 a month on diesel costs in my old car. And it's around £20 a month on electricity now. So.
But again, I mean, we've had people come onto this from all kinds of different walks of life and different financial positions and what have you. But, yes, there's the environmental side of it, absolutely. But you've actually stacked this up. This makes financial sense as well, because the Teslas, they're not the cheapest car on the market, but you can... you stack it up with the spend that you were making per month against putting diesel in.
Yeah, I wanted a new car anyway. I was due for a new car. I'd had my old one 5 or 6 years now. So I know some people have them longer than that, but whatever I was doing, I was changing it anyway. So offset some of those monthly payments that I was making for the new car versus those cost savings, and it made a big difference.
And what's next on your list?
I'd like to get a heat pump at some point. That's in the offing, but right now I can't necessarily justify the upfront cost of that. And there's obviously the upfront cost of the solar, the upfront cost of the car. But yeah, I'd like to get that done at some point. The boiler runs fine. We're in a really efficient house, so generally it's not top priority, but it's certainly something I want to do. And then that would be pretty much everything in the house electrified then. So.
Are you on gas cooker or?
Yeah, that would be the last thing to go. Yeah, change the hob. Yeah.
It's like the lesson learned from Mick Wall. We have to make sure we move it at the right time so you don't end up without. But yeah, that's there's quite a significant added saving there that sometimes gets missed out, because the minute you come off gas completely, you stop paying the gas standing charge in your energy bill. Yeah. And that's is it £100 and something a year?
About £120 a year, I think it would be. So obviously the standing charges just keep going up at the moment. So.
Another one to add to the... Yeah. So in the next episode, we're going to talk a little bit. We've talked about all the positives, maybe some of the challenges on the way through, and maybe your views on what other people should do and how they can get into this. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We'll crack on the next one.